The 76ers get the third pick in the NBA draft that is coming up in just a couple weeks. Coy Camiscioli, Philly Sports Talk here. Sorry it's been a little bit, guys. Been a little bit busy since coming back home from college and stuff, but we're back on our grind here, and we'll get the podcast going out again. I mean, it's a little bit of dead time right now with the Eagles all season, even though OTAs have picked up and there's some news out there. And we're gonna get some Eagles podcasts going and some Sixers podcasts as the draft gets closer. But I know it's late for this breakdown, but I don't really care. I kind of just want to do it, give my thoughts on it. Nothing too much. Just going to talk about the current state of the team and again the third pick. So it was exciting. I was watching the lottery live, and obviously we were one pick away from in between that final two, which would have made things get a little interesting. Because once you made that final two, you're like, oh my God, we might get Cooper Flag. And I was even thinking that at when we were at number three before it was revealed. So it stinks because there was a little bit of hope there. And it actually is a good thing that we got the third pick. You know, we were projected the sixth pick, and anything beyond that, anything higher than that, we'd have lost the draft pick. So with the three, that's actually pretty good. You know, and we can look to maybe trade it. I kind of want to take it. I don't see what we're going to do with trading it. You know, everybody just wants to trade things and try to get some players. It's just not going to work out, I don't think. I think we're just going to take the pick. As of right now, Ace Bailey is potentially the best fit for the team. He's like he could potentially play the four. One interesting thing with him is that he was listed at 6'10" at Rutgers, but at the combine he was just a little over 6'7", which was a little something to note. You know, obviously the hair and shoes add on, but usually not 3 inches. So that's a little interesting. And again, he plays pretty well, so that doesn't matter that much. But um, I don't know. He would likely be at the four. There's been early insight as of now that the Spurs are high on Dylan Harper and that they might look to take him, and that's why the Sixers might take Ace Bailey, or we could trade down and get a more polished draft pick because it's said that Ace Bailey, you know, has the higher ceiling, but it might be a little bit harder to get to that ceiling as opposed to Dylan Harper. So we'll just have to see. As it gets closer, we'll do some draft analysis and stuff like that. But again, overall, it was a good thing that the Sixers got this pick. It wasn't expected. So good stuff for the Sixers. If it does work out, that would be big time for us for depth wise, for a starting lineup and everything. So yeah, my other thoughts on the lottery. Again, the Spurs got the second with the Mavs getting the number one. A little interesting there. I don't believe in like the conspiracy theories of it being rigged, but you know, you see the Spurs up there and the Mavs after they trade away Luka Doncic. It's definitely something to look at for a second. You know, they just had a 1.8% chance of getting that pick, which is pretty crazy. So, again, I told you I'm not the guy that believe in the conspiracies and the league rigging things because, you know, Luka Doncic gets traded on a random Saturday night to one of the biggest franchises in sports with Braun at the end, and you get the number one pick on a generational player. A little shaky. But at the same time, to counter that, you know, the Mavericks were one game away from making the eighth seed. They won a playing game, so um, it could have easily not even been in the lottery. Again, I don't think it's rigged, but there's just something interesting to note. But yeah, some cool stuff. I do feel kind of dumb because I actually believe in this team next year, and I tell you, they honestly are deep. Looking at the team as of now, it's pretty deep. But it's going to need to require Vintage and be back, and hopefully that can happen. I'm not sure, you know, what kind of a percentage we're going to get from him right away. Obviously, he had another surgery on his left knee. The last time I did a Sixers podcast, we were talking about that already. Um, and yeah, the draft is in mid-June. We'll definitely talk more Sixers. This current state of the team, this is what I want to talk about. I have our team payroll pulled up. And again, to prove how deep we really are, you know, obviously we have Embiid and Maxey. Paul George, again, he's gotten a lot of hate this year, and honestly, recently so. He did not play well, especially to his standards. But I do think that there was some health problems there, and I think that if he can get healthy with a full Sixers team around him, I think he could be a game changer for us. So, you know, obviously we're exploring trade options. Maybe we trade him just for depth along with picks. You know, I've seen mock trades of us trying to get Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Jose Alvarado from the Pelicans, with including George to dump all salary plus like 4 first round picks, which would be something. I've seen the mock trades, including even Kevin Durant. I don't know. But at the end of the day, He's locked in with us. I generally do think that if this team is healthy and he is healthy, he could be much more of a game changer. But we'll have to see what kind of happens with Daryl Morey and what he decides to do with Paul George. But I hope things work out because that signing was really fun when it happened. So right now we're locked in with Maxey, George, and Embiid. When healthy, I really like that. Seriously, Kelly Oubre, he is a player option. So we'll see what happens there. Andre Drummond as well. But beyond that, the Sixers, we have, Quentin Grimes. His contract is actually still up in the air too. Oh, we obviously have Jared McCain who'll be coming back from his injury. That's a big piece. He was great. Eric Gordon is a player option. That's whatever. We need to get Yabusele back. He was obviously one of our best players this past season. Ricky Council is locked in. Adembona is locked in. And then Lonnie Walker, Jared Butler, and Justin Edwards all have team options, which is good stuff because, you throw in, let's just assume that we keep Grimes. We keep, I'm not just going to assume Kelly Oubre right away. But let's just assume we keep Grimes. We obviously are not, Jared McCain's not going anywhere. And we keep Justin Edwards. Already, that's and a Dembona. That's four guys that could be coming off the bench in the playoffs. If Quentin Grimes is in the starting lineup, where that makes a pretty deep nine-man rotation. And, Jared Butler showed some signs last year for us. Justin Edwards, I'm really high on this guy. This guy was awesome. I actually liked him coming out of the draft. Very happy that he signed with us, and he was a very good player. He could potentially be a starter at some point. Great stuff for Justin Edwards again. So we have him. We'll see what happens to Lonnie Walker. Obviously, nothing insane there. Adembona, one of the more polished backup bigs we've ever had in the Joel Embiid era. Sorry, my rainer's on. Ricky Council shows us flashes here and there, but if we can find a way to keep Yabusele and Grimes, off the bench, Yabusele, Grimes, Council, Bona, Edwards, Butler, it would be. I would really like that seriously. And we'll see what happens to Kelly Oubre again. Kelly Oubre would be a good fit. I've always liked his energy, what he brings to the table. But yeah, so the Sixers, they have some things to work out with this team, obviously. And again, we didn't even make the playoffs, not even the plan, which hopefully will change this upcoming year. But yeah, that's going to do it. I'll have an NBA Finals preview podcast coming out in the next couple of days. And we'll get some Eagles podcasts out there as well. So again, just glad to be back up there. Sorry it's been a little bit, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace.